Hello everyone and welcome back to the NONA studio for another edition of the NONA Sports Show. I'm your host as always, Edgar Rodriguez. To my left-hand side, Patrick Deleon for the 26th time.
Yes.
The 26th episode is now. I forgot to do a little congratulations for episode 25 last week, but there you go. There's that. Make of that what you will. We are still here.
Yes.
But we have two segments for us today. First, USL 2 update. An unfortunate previous game for Nona, but we're look to quickly move on from that. And then, of course, Club World Cup, Patrick Deleon.
Yes.
It's coming to Orlando.
Yes.
Plus 10 other cities. Right. We are going to preview all of the action that's going to take place in this new revamped tournament. But Patrick, are you ready to jump into it?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's been a pretty eventful week, and it's going to continue to be a couple more eventful weeks to come. It's going to be chaotic. There's so much going on, but I'm so excited to kind of get rolling even more. So, but let's start off with the last result we have to catch up on.
Let's do that. Unfortunately, we have to do that. We went to the villages, Patrick, and lots of excitement, as always, surrounds this match. The Rodeo Derby, of course. Brave SC, NONA FC. I had mentioned to you that form goes out of the window, and they proved me right. Ridiculous game at the.
It was just chaotic.
Yeah.
It was a mess
from start to finish. Thankfully, no rain, none of that.
No.
But the drama came on the field.
Yeah.
Where, look, it's frustrating and it's tough to have to put not the blame, but one of the reasons, of course, was an unfortunate performance from the officials, and unfortunately, Patrick, you've been in that position. It throws everything into uncertainty, and when referees, don't have control of the match, especially a match of this magnitude, it has an effect on the quality we see on the pitch.
I mean, especially when you're coming into this match, it's a pretty big rivalry game as well. You have to understand, as a referee, me personally, I was never a referee at such a high level either. It's just been youth soccer.
But you've been there and done it. You've been there.
I have the experience. My father, he was a referee for college games. Back in the day. But so I like paying attention and just learning to how referees work, how it should work, right? And the number one thing that I remember learning at an early age, before I was even refereeing, right? It was always just make sure you know what you're calling. Be 100% aware of what you are calling. Be 100% certain that you know what's going on, right? And if personally, the way I took it is, if I had a doubt, if I wasn't sure, if I didn't think I saw something correctly, and if none of my other officials marked anything, if they didn't say anything, even if after I went to them, okay, then let's move forward, because I'm not going to call something that I didn't get to see. Yeah. So, moving forward a little bit into this game, right?
Yeah.
We're in the first half. We've got maybe a couple minutes to go until halftime. Approximately 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And then there's a bit of a scuffle on the far side.
On the far side, right?
Right in front of the Brave bench, right?
Yes.
Now, we've looked over the footage. We've tried to be okay, did we miss something? Was there something that we just didn't see? But, I mean, the evidence that we have for a red card to Jamon Barclay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's maybe a little bit of a scuffle, but it's nothing, I would say, red card worthy. Maybe a yellow to both players just for holding on to each other and move on, right?
We see that every game, Patrick.
Right, but
those scuffles are part of the game.
Yes, and it's not like it was something I'm grabbing you by the neck or anything. No. It was just more they're just holding on to each other and maybe pushing apart. But that's when the opposing bench, and I heard it from the other side of the field, they're all just starting, there's a punch. A punch is being thrown. And that's when really, it's was there a punch thrown? I couldn't tell because I was pretty far away and we were on the opposite side of the field. So sure, okay. But the sideline ref, he waved his flag for throw-in for us.
Didn't see anything.
The center ref, he was in front of the action, looking at it. And even still from the camera, from a stream quality, all we could see was just a little shove.
A little scuffle.
From both,
that's it.
And that's it. And they were walking away. And then everybody gets up in arms and it's punch. There was a punch being thrown. Center ref goes to the fourth official and they somehow come to the conclusion that there was a straight red to Jamon. And, well, okay, these decisions happen, and I would say it really didn't affect much of how
No,
we were playing.
It didn't.
But it does, whether you want to admit it or not. But I'm sorry, I'll let you speak in a second. I know
Go ahead,
but it's like, I just want to understand the decision making here because sideline ref that was also right there didn't see anything. Center ref that was looking at the whole thing. He didn't blow his whistle for anything either until after everybody started making remarks. And again, I understand. Okay, a punch. Okay, sure. Maybe some investigating needs to be done. I understand because that's a red card offense. But what could you have, did the fourth official see anything different that the center ref was looking at, kind of thing? It's not like you're looking at two different things. You're looking at the same exact thing. So and I would argue that the center ref had a better view.
I think so.
Because he at least has Jamon and the other player in his sights.
And you're up to speed with the game as well.
That's a crowd, right?
Yeah.
Right, and you're up to speed.
You're up to speed with it. You're following the play.
I don't agree at all with the process of coming to that decision because it doesn't feel like anybody was actually aware of what happened. And to me, that's what really made me upset more than anything. Yeah. Not necessarily the red card, but just the thought process to getting there.
And look, it's very easy many times, and I personally am not a fan.
Right.
And you know this, of blaming referees for a loss.
No, right.
It's usually a scapegoat thing that fans like to throw around. Oh, the ref was terrible. Oh, the ref was crap.
But
okay. And I want to preface it with saying, we're not trying to lambaste the referees in any way. Look, errors and mistakes happen at the Champions League final level.
Yes.
But there are certain things, Patrick, and we were talking about this, just the fundamentals. You have to be 100% sure.
Especially when it's a red card.
Especially when words, like you said, I was going to bring that up, the word punch is being thrown around. You as a ref, immediately, something might be happening. Maybe I missed something. But we talk about the importance of calling how you see it. Same thing with commentary.
Yeah.
Completely different thing, but call the game as you see it. For a referee, you have to blow the whistle as you see it. And do you think there was a bit of pressure applied, given the fact that exactly, you know exactly where I'm going with this. Given the fact that the scuffle happened right in front of the Brave bench, they go up in hysterics.
Yeah,
and does that play an effect on the referee's mind?
But that's the thing. You should never let it get to that point, which proves the point that you've lost control at that stage, and we're only 38 minutes into the game, and. It's like you can never, ever let anybody else make a decision for you as a referee.
Never.
Ever.
Yeah.
Especially players or coaching staff. That should never be it. I will admit, I've had some bad games, but never did I ever let anybody make decisions for me. If I just missed it, okay, then I just missed it. And I will own up to it if I was unsure about it and I didn't call it right then and there. Okay, yeah, that's my fault. But I never made anybody make decisions for me. That's the one thing as a referee shouldn't. That's what it felt like. That's just what it felt like. He just let them get to his head, and he just pulled out the red card to kind of satisfy it and then move on. And I think that was unfair.
If there is anyone that the refs shouldn't listen to, it's the benches, because obviously they're going to be biased.
You're always that's part of the game. You're always going to be challenged, no matter whatever you call it.
It can be right or wrong.
Yes, exactly. You will always get challenged. That's part of it. But it's also your job as a referee to never let it get to the point where it feels like they have control over you. And and it's not just that call necessarily. It was the whole game. Yeah. And we'll get into that too.
It was a tough game, and Brave and Nona is always a tough game for the officials, for the players, for everyone involved. It's an intense, fiery affair. There's no getting there's no two ways about that. So again, in no way is this referee, you were terrible, you should never officiate. No, not at all. It's just an analysis of what happened.
Right.
And unfortunately, that was the turning point in this match. If there's a moment that you pinpoint, it's that one.
Yeah.
Look, the entire first half, we were comfortably the better side. I would say we were controlling the run of play.
Even, I would argue, the majority of the second half as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even a man down.
Yeah.
Brave, the most freedom they were having in the first half was down that left side. They were getting, success. They were finding success on that side, whipping balls in, testing the possibilities in the final third. But that does not, paper over the cracks in terms of our performance as well. And we, like I said, unfortunate not to find a goal, especially in that late flurry in the first half. We had lots of set piece opportunities.
Yeah.
That's on us. We didn't finish it. Okay, you go into halftime 0-0, a man down. What do you think changed in the second half? We spoke about not much changing in the second half. Run of play was still similar. But then the 63rd minute hits. Brave find themselves, time on the ball. The ball goes in. It was a miscalculation, unfortunately, from Tommy. The ball stays alive, and it's poked in from 6 inches out.
Yeah, that's painful.
Very painful.
And you know what? I told you, I was like, I want to win on an ugly goal.
And that's
it
how Brave
seemed to work the other way around.
I'm like, absolutely did.
That's a hard way to, and that was the only goal of the match, too. Yeah. And after that, I mean, that's as threatening as they looked, really.
That was their best chance
literally,
of the game.
And it was like,
that was the best chance of the game.
XG score of like 0.9, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, it has to go in.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a terrible, crucial mistake in the back.
It was.
They took advantage of it quickly, and, it happens. It happens. But after, that game really left a sour taste in my mouth.
After that, it was more of the same.
Yeah.
We kept knocking, and unfortunately we couldn't, open the door, right? Yeah. So to speak. But, man, it was, we lost there last season 3-0. Yeah, that hurt. That was horrendous. But this one hurts more.
I think so.
1-0, the way it happened.
The way just everything went down.
Yeah.
It was just, oof.
It definitely hurts
rough.
more. For Brave, they'll be, ecstatic.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it. Like, they were
living it up.
Yeah.
Their first win of this season, and rightly so. I mean, fair
Had
play.
To come against us.
They were there. Look, we talk about that being their best chance of the game. Many times, it goes to waste for teams who have been on the back foot. They have that one opening, and they blast it over the bar or something like this. Credit to them. They were there. Oscar Rosano, you love scoring against NONA FC. If you're watching this, you'll know he scored in the last 3 matchups.
That's just
he scored home and away.
Bogey player.
And now away for us this season as well. So Oscar Rosano, he has our number. We have to man mark him next time.
Again, it's not like we're not taking shots like the how they won and nothing like that. How the goal happened, They did their part.
They
took advantage of it.
Did.
We just couldn't capitalize on everything else we had. I mean, man, it was a hard game. It was very rough.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe around the 60th minute, I told you, like, hey, I'm getting super anxious now. Like, it was just very, everybody was getting more and more into it. I mean, it's just a matter of, like, everybody, again, going back to the thing of that everybody's taking points off everybody this year, and who knows how the standings look like a week from now.
Yeah, it's you cannot call it at this point. Let's move on. From a very disappointing loss, like we said, away at Brave. I mean, it's tough, but there's no time to dwell.
Nope.
There is no time.
Just gotta keep going.
To sit there and cry. You have to pick yourself up and go again, and that's exactly what the boys have done. I was at training this morning, as you know, Patrick, and we're in good spirits, thankfully. Of course, it's our second loss of the season, tough, but we move on. You'd spoken about Bruno's objective. 13 points in this run of 5 games in 15 days.
Right.
Unfortunately, unattainable now.
Right.
Next best thing is 12 points, and that's exactly what the team has to quickly adapt to.
They have to.
The next best thing.
But that's just the drama that comes with USL 2, isn't
it? Really
like,
is.
For every team,
is.
There's always something, whether you're getting thrashed 10-0 every game or, you got to figure out your rotation or just the schedule is just so heavy and fast. It's every team has their own set of struggles.
Yeah.
Like how you were just talking to me, Gainesville, they have a pretty rough go as well.
Very rough.
You were talking to me about their schedule and, everybody has their worries, their cons. It's just a matter of how good can you lessen the damage.
Yeah.
That's the game, really. Not about how good can you be. How good are you at managing the damage?
Yeah.
That's the goal here. That's the game.
Absolutely. Our next opponent in Game 6, which will mark the halfway point of the season already. It's crazy to even think about. We go back to Showalter Field to play Brook House. Now, okay, we won there 3-0. On paper, fine. We should get the 3 points there. An interesting point on Brook House, though. They played Monday night.
Wow.
lightning delay and everything, beating Gainesville 1-0. It was an interesting 45-minute game. They only played the first half. I'm not sure if they saw more rain on the radar. Maybe they had to finish early. I don't know if they're gonna pick the game back up. That just came into my mind just now. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that. But they beat Gainesville 1-0. And they play again on Wednesday. So from the time of recording, we're right in the middle.
Tuesday.
They have less than 48 hours of turnaround. Talk about professional teams complaining about this. There's none of that here. You have to put your head down and go again.
Go. Yeah, no choice. And it's going to be, hopefully, another exciting matchup for us. Yes. Hopefully, we can come away. I still feel like that first time, even though we won 3-0, it could have been more. We need it to be more, I think, to really instill that courage, that hope, that confidence, second half of the season, let's make it better than this first half. Let's start off on a really strong foot here.
Let's talk about that game. Of course, we were there not too long ago at Showalter Field. It was our first away match of the season. Winning there 3-0. Christian Kraus, who was getting some treatment on his ankle. It's getting better. Hopefully we'll see him before the month ends. Hopefully, fingers are crossed. It is progressing well. So, fingers crossed. He had a little brace on it, but hey, we're working towards it. Kraus got a brace that game. He opened his tally on the season in that match. Brandon Iagarungo getting his first goal of the season as well. What impressed you the most from our performance there? Because for me, that's an easy answer, and that was, even though we didn't score, and even though it had no effect on scoreline, it was those 10 minutes. At the start of the second half.
Yeah.
That's as fluid and as
it was like,
ruthless as I've seen.
Non-stop. It was just attack.
Yes.
I mean, most of the game felt that way anyway. But especially those first 10 minutes, it was like they just came out of the locker room firing.
Yeah.
And it was a fun watch because it was like, every chance, just a little bit wide or something. But no, it was great. And I feel like we need more of that.
Yes.
Consistently throughout the whole match. Of course, that's a hard ask. I know that's easier said than done. But those 10 minutes were something special, and we need more of that throughout the season.
Absolutely. Brookhouse come into this game on a 4-match unbeaten run. Their only loss of this season was that game. The second match for them. I believe it was the second match as well for us. I can't even remember by now. 4 games unbeaten. They'll of course look at us and be like, oh, we struggled from a Brookhouse perspective, right? They're the only team to have beaten us. How do you approach this one? I mean, because it's tough. At home again, we played them 3 times this year. So they're going to have us, they're going to have to come to Austin Tyndall later in the season. You lost a game 3-0. Now you play the same opponent in a very short turnaround. How do you approach that?
I mean, I think it's
a tricky spot to be in.
It is. And that's the thing with some of these teams, we play 3 times a season, So it's like, okay, how do you manage to counter them 3 times successfully in a row, right?
Yeah.
First time didn't go so well. Okay, how do you build on that? Well, they're on good form, so I'm sure they might not make drastic changes to that. I'm sure they do their homework as well on us. It's a tricky one. It definitely is because it's like, well, I mean, I don't know.
It's tough.
It's tough.
It's tough.
I know it was was it was probably their second game.
It was both of our second games.
Okay, yes, there you go. So it was early already. Not really like you're not in the full swing of things just yet.
Lots has happened
now
since then.
we're getting to that halfway point. So a lot has happened since then. Yes, exactly. So now you have a better idea. Okay, how is your squad structured? How do you guys play better? And I think they have a formula here that seems to be working. So now I think the question actually should be on us. How do we approach this game going into them? Because we've lost 2 in a pretty short amount of time.
Yeah.
So how do we pick ourselves up and go again? Okay, how do we make sure that we get a result for the second time away in Winter Park?
Winter Park. Yeah, Winter Park. It's going to be very interesting. Brookhouse now leap us into first place. You'll see the table on your screen now. Brookhouse first, but we have a game in hand. And that is why it's so crucial that we go there and we don't, slip up. Because Brookhouse are now going to have an advantage in terms of games for a little bit. So we'll be behind, but we win tomorrow. And that cements us in first place, and we'll still keep that game in hand. So huge game. We talk about first against second. It was that, we speak about that being so big. I mean, again, and that's what a 6-team division gives you, right?
It's
always
it's so packed and tight
exactly.
that there's no room for error for anybody.
Exactly. But, so it's gonna be very interesting because then that result really does play it has a huge impact on Saturday.
Yeah.
Because we go away to Jacksonville and we have a very, a long history there. That's usually our bogey team. So at Jacksonville, it's always a tough game. So, and Sporting Jackson aren't doing too bad themselves. They sit 3rd place at the moment. But that's about all we have for USL 2. From the time of recording, hopefully the episode will be up. Brookhouse away for Game 6 of 12 of our USL 2 2025 season. Hopefully you guys keep up with us, unrestricted on YouTube, Insta stories all day long, on Threads as well, play-by-play. We got you all covered wherever you would like to follow us. But, like I said, that's it for Segment 1. Segment 2, though, Patrick, there's a little thing called the Club World Cup that's going to take over the United States in just a few days' time. So we're going to preview every single group. You'll want to stay with us for that.
Something new, something fresh, yeah, I'm super obsessed. Let me know when you done messing. A little that, a little this, then you put it to the test. It's all in the expression. It's a mood, it's a vibe, it's a state of mind. And now I want it more. It's a mood, it's a vibe, it's a state of mind. Okay, you got the floor. It's looking good. I kinda like that. I kinda really like that. It's looking good. I kinda like that. Come on, let's see some more. It's looking good. Keep it going, get it right. Not a trouble inside. You can't argue with perfection. Ooh, you working something up with a little bit of luck.
All right, everyone, and just like that, we're back for our second and last segment of the show, Patrick, and we're going to be talking Club World Cup, a new revamped tournament for this year. FIFA really stepping up their game, because before that, the Club World Cup was just kind of like a forgotten thing that happened every few years, and it's like, well, what?
7 teams.
How do you even
just
get
so weirdly
in?
structured?
Really weird. Now, though, in lead up to the actual World Cup next year, this Club World Cup, it fits perfectly into, into the whole scheme of things for the clubs and players. Will they go for it? Will they kind of be tired from last season? It's going to be an interesting, way of how they approach it. But as for fans, from a fan's perspective, it's absolutely fun to preview and look forward to, because there's going to be games, Patrick, 3 and 4 a day. There's going to be no stopping.
It's going to be so much fun to keep up with everything. Oh, I'm so mad. I'm going to miss some of these games too.
I know. Anyway, we'll do our best to keep up to date with everything going on. But 8 groups of 4 teams. Should we get started?
Yes, we should.
Let's do it. Group A.
So we've got Al Ahly, Porto, Inter Miami, and Palmeiras for this first group.
Yes.
I think this is kind of not necessarily one of the star-studded groups per se.
No.
But I do think Porto should comfortably make it through to the round of 16.
Yeah.
After that, I think it really could be anybody. Yeah. But I would probably go with Palmeiras. I quite like them. I would want to see them go through. I don't want to see Inter Miami go through. But I feel like that second place could be open for it's just about anybody else,
it's
really.
Look, I think Porto, coming off of a strong season, third place in Liga Portugal. So, and looking at their opposition, they'll be confident. They don't have any other European opponents. So, hey, fair play for them. I think they'll be okay there. Palmeiras, right now, not looking too bad in Brazil. They're 4th at the moment in Serie A.
2 points off the top. Yeah.
Right, so it's close to start the season in Brazil. And then Inter Miami and Al Ahly. Let's look at Inter Miami. Of course, you have the whole question of, how are MLS teams going to fare against their European and South American counterparts? Of course, Miami are going to be most of the attention is going to be on Miami.
But of course, yeah.
How do we see them faring? Can you see them fighting Palmeiras for a second place here?
Yeah.
I think it'll be. I think it'll go down to.
I think
the wire.
It could. I absolutely. But at the same time,
you think they'll fall short?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Out of the MLS teams that we'll go through,
Mhm.
obviously in the other groups as well, Inter Miami, they're not my favorites out of the MLS teams to make it far.
Right.
Or not necessarily make it far, just make it out of the group stage,
Yeah.
right? I just think they still have a lot of issues that they need to deal with.
especially.
Defensively,
Yep.
I don't think they can really be up to the job.
Mhm.
I don't know if they can really handle the play style of a proper South American club,
Yeah.
a proper European
Yeah,
club,
yeah.
Al Ahly, who are synonymous down in Egypt.
Yes.
With they win every
They're
African
serial
Champions
winners.
League. They
Yeah,
win
yeah.
everything down
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And Africa, it's pretty brutal down there. So
Mhm.
I don't know if Inter Miami are really going to be able to handle that play style. I
Yeah.
think defensively, that's going to be their biggest worry.
Adapting.
Adapting.
It's
to that.
going to be interesting because we speak about Al Ahly. That's the first game. Al Ahly
Mhm.
Inter Miami. So already we'll have a very interesting matchup
Mhm.
to kick things off. And we'll get some pointers as to who's
Yeah.
looking good in Group A.
And in Al Ahly, Inter Miami, that kicks off on Saturday,
Yes.
first game of
First
the tournament. So it's going to be our first look.
First look.
Actually, whether I get proven right or wrong, what happens then and there, and that kind of sets the tone for that group. I think after that.
Yeah. The high stakes
Mhm.
right from the start. So
Right.
we'll see what happens in Group A. But Porto should be okay.
Should be good.
Should.
Second place,
Keyword should.
up for grabs. I think.
Absolutely. But Palmeiras are favorites for
Yes,
second?
I think so.
Okay, we got to lock it in.
Yeah.
So Porto, Palmeiras.
Palmeiras.
That will surely happen in Group A. No surprises, right?
Group B though, this is gonna be
Group
a
of
fun
death?
one. Oh, one of the group of deaths. I think.
Look, you look at this lineup. Atletico Madrid,
Mhm.
PSG. So already you have two European powerhouses, right? Botafogo. Talk about Brazilian household names. Not too long ago, they won the double down in
Right,
Brazil.
literally.
And then Seattle Sounders. Of course, maybe not the glory days of
No,
the
no.
Sounders, but one of the OG
Still
MLS clubs.
One of the oldest clubs
Exactly.
in North America, or in the United States at least. So, I mean, again, I would have been more confident for Seattle if this was still like in their prime era. But I mean, that 2022 Champions League win here in CONCACAF
Very different team
feels
now.
very far
Yeah,
away now.
it does.
Very different. You don't have Rui Diaz. You don't have Prime Lodeiro. You don't have a lot of these guys that
Yeah.
made those MLS Cup runs that that dominated
Yes.
really from like mid 2010s to 2022. That era of Seattle was unmatched almost. And I mean, right now they're doing okay, but it's not the Seattle that everybody was really familiar
Right,
with.
right.
So I'm
It's
worried
rough.
about them.
It's rough.
Out of the MLS teams that are there, I do think they're gonna have it the worst,
Ooh,
just because
yeah.
of this group.
Atleti and PSG, Patrick. I mean, talk about a Champions League-esque matchup.
Oh yeah!
Imagine the Rose Bowl. Oh my
Oh,
goodness, that
yeah.
is going to be a sight to behold.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at one by one.
Yes.
PSG,
Coming off a Champions League
treble,
a
treble win,
insane Champions League final.
quadruple if you want
Right.
to add the French Super
Right,
Cup or whatever the fourth tournament was. I believe it was that. For Luis Enrique, if you're Luis Enrique, you're not too far removed from a Champions League final where you
No.
thrashed Inter Milan. We'll get to their
Yeah.
group in a little bit. How do you approach this? Is it
I
full
think-
guns blazing? Keep the
I
momentum.
think you could honestly keep like the confidence that this
Keep
should be a relative walk in the park for you, right?
At least in the group
At
stage.
least
Right.
and I do think they'll come out still on top. Maybe some rotation, of course.
Right.
But I do think they will go in with the confidence of like, oh well, we just had one of the best seasons in PSG history, if not the best season in
Right.
PSG history. I think they'll be fine.
And
I think they'll, no matter how they go about it, I think they'll be okay.
I agree. And you look at players like Vitinha, Nuno Mendes.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
They just won the Nations League with Portugal, so they're on this incredible
They're
high.
why not just keep
They're
winning?
unstoppable
right?
at
Why
the
not
moment.
just keep
so
winning?
look, PSG, I see no reason to let go of the gas
Right,
now.
No.
Again, brand new tournament. You're gonna want to, impress.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a perfect opportunity for
I think
Luis
so,
Enrique.
yeah.
And knowing Luis Enrique's mentality and the way he approaches the game, he's not a manager. He's
Yeah.
gonna say, "Oh, let's take a day off today,
Yeah.
boys."
No, I think he's gonna. I think
Yeah.
they're gonna go in pretty good strength. I think their only real challenge, obviously in the group stage, is gonna be Atletico.
Atleti.
That's gonna be hard, and I think that's gonna be an exciting one to
Very
try to keep up
exciting.
with.
But their season, at the end of
Mhm.
it, it's comparable to Inter and
Yeah.
completely opposite
Yeah.
to what happened with PSG because they were looking very good in a 3-horse race for La Liga for most of the season. And then it all slowly just went downhill for
Mhm.
Simeone's men. Of course, the loss, we've spoken about it time and time again against Real Madrid. That was the turning point in their
Mhm.
season.
Yeah.
That was just a moment that they
Yeah.
could not pick
They can
themselves
never
up
recover
from.
after that.
So, completely different approach to this tournament because,
Mhm.
again, they're going to want to pick themselves up.
Mhm.
But again, you look at your opponents like a PSG early on, and you're going to be like, man, we did not get the look of the draw
Yeah,
here.
no. But after that, you still just got to deal with Botafogo and Seattle. And again, I'm going to have to write off Seattle here because
Yeah, it's going to...
they'll be happy to be there.
Sure.
For sure, they'll, but still, I mean, it's a great experience for them.
Right.
But man, I don't think they can put up a fight.
No.
Maybe against Botafogo. Maybe. That's a big maybe. That's a big maybe. But I think we can kind of say that PSG Atleti should go through.
Yeah.
Should.
Yeah. I mean, I don't... Honestly, look, in Botafogo, they're going to be a tough team to play against.
Yes. I think
They
they'll
are going
give
to
them a
make life
challenge.
miserable for the others, but I think PSG and Atleti will just have too much quality.
I
That-
think they'll just outclass them a little
It's
bit.
going to tell. It's
Yeah.
going to tell in the end for this group. I don't see any other way.
Yeah, no, I don't think
PSG and
so.
Atleti should be okay. Group C, a very
Yes.
eclectic mix. Not for the
Yeah.
first time I'll be saying that. Auckland City, straight
Mhm.
from New Zealand. Right on the big stage, Bayern Munich. They'll be training not too far from here at the ESPN Wide World
yeah,
of Sports. Benfica and Boca Juniors, Patrick. A very interesting Group C. And we'll have the pleasure of having Auckland City Benfica right here in our backyard. What do you make of this? Bayern
Bayern should
surely
be.
the favorites.
Surely, I think after that, it comes down to between Boca and Benfica. I
Mhm.
think so. And that can really kind of go either way. It's just a matter of, I think, when they play each other, whoever wins that game
Man.
gets second place.
That's
you know?
a huge game as well.
So
Boca
yeah,
Benfica.
they should. Yeah.
Oh.
So I think Auckland City, they'll be happy to be here. They're getting their money. They'll be happy to just be here.
Let's talk about them for a
Yes,
bit.
let's do that.
Auckland, of course, have two clubs.
Yes,
Auckland
they do.
FC and then Auckland City.
Yes.
Auckland FC play in the A-League. They just won the A-League, so they are
Regular season.
The regular
Yes,
season, of
yes.
course. We'll have a segment about that.
Yes.
Thank you for correcting
But
me.
yeah, in the
'cause those
first
seasons are
year,
crazy.
yes, it's interesting.
Very interesting. But then you have Auckland City. You can't
And
forget about
playing domestically in New Zealand.
little old Auckland City. Like you
Mhm.
said, they don't play in the Australian system.
No.
They play in New Zealand.
Mhm.
They call themselves an amateur club because if
Right.
you look at where they play
I
and the
mean-
whole structure of the club,
Yeah.
they don't have much. They don't have much.
So
and
I think
what a story it is for them
Yeah.
to come over and test themselves against the likes of
Right,
Bayern.
and
When
I
did
mean,
they think that would happen?
right, probably never.
Yeah.
And I think they'll just be happy to be at these games. You know, they're gonna the money that they'll get is probably life changing for a club like
Life-changing,
that.
Absolutely.
And I mean, even if it's like pennies for a club like Bayern,
Mhm.
for a team like Auckland City, I mean, sure, they're gonna love love that payday.
Yep.
I don't think they'll mind if they get thrashed a little bit. But they've been the powerhouses in the Oceania region. They're almost always winning Oceania, that Champions League.
7 consecutive
Yeah, there
Champions
you
League
go.
between 2011 and 2017. That's just
There you
incredible.
go. So like it's like if anybody's gonna represent that region, it's gonna be them.
Yeah.
And they're happy to be here, I think. So it's gonna be exciting to kind of I get to meet the players.
Yes.
I do.
Because we will
So-
be there. We
Yes,
will be working
so-
the Club World
yes.
Cup. You will be working the official
All of
media.
yes,
for
I
the
will
Club
be doing
World
the social
Cup.
media. So I'll be pretty close proximity with these guys. So
Yes.
we have a media day for Ulsan and Mamelodi as well. So
Yes.
them, Auckland City, Benfica, also another day with them. It's gonna be a fun mix.
It's gonna be great.
If I have the chance to pick their minds a little bit, I'll
Yeah.
let you know, and then we'll bring it back here and be like, this is what
Absolutely.
these guys were thinking a little, coming here. But yeah, this group, I think we can say Bayern for sure. And I think it just comes down to Benfica or Boca. Whoever, if they can beat each other, I think that's what decides it.
And probably Benfica are the
I think
favorites.
just an edge, yeah.
Probably. Just another little thing on Auckland City. 3,500. That's their capacity of
Right.
Kiwiti Street,
Yeah, that's
which
like
is where they play. I mean, incredible
Yeah.
how they have just, propelled themselves. And fair play because they have done it.
They've done their part.
Year in, year out in the Champions
Yeah.
League, in their domestic league, and
Right.
now they're here. And
Yes,
now
they are.
They are going to test themselves against some of the biggest names in world football.
Yes.
You'll be working the official media. I'll also be within the FIFA volunteering, helping out with media operations. So it's going to be very fun.
It's
We're
gonna
going
be
to
very
be
fun.
there
We're
for
gonna
all
get-
of the games here in Orlando.
right.
So, but enough about us.
Yes.
Enough about us. Group D.
An interesting mix.
Yeah.
Chelsea, obviously from London.
Yep.
Esperance from Tunisia.
Mhm.
Flamengo, who are atop of the Brazilian league right now.
Yep.
And LAFC, who beat Club America.
That is
in
where
the
we're gonna
play-in.
start.
Yes.
That is where we're going to start. The Bank of America Stadium was insane.
rocking. I sent you a video, like
Insane.
a better version, I guess, of the unrestricted that I did. But I mean, it was
Sounds like the match, they call it.
yes, but it was honestly
What an
they-
atmosphere.
Yeah, and I think LAFC, out of the teams from MLS, they are up to par. I
Mhm.
think they have the best chance at making it out of the group stage. It's still going to be difficult for them because we got it now. It's time to see how are they going to square up against a team from Brazil,
Sure.
Chelsea, a team from Tunisia. You know, these are matchups you never ever think about, right?
Never.
So now it's time to see what are they made of, because LAFC, they also have a serial history of just being the biggest bottle jobs in MLS as well.
Mm.
And it's a shame because they have a great brand. They have, you know, a very successful and passionate following in
Yep.
Los Angeles. Can they live up to the expectations? Can they snag second place?
I guess I'm living in the past because it's BMO Stadium, not Bank
Right.
of America anymore.
Right.
BMO Stadium.
It's still the bank to me. You know, I don't call it anything else.
Steve Cherundolo.
Right?
Mention him because
Mhm.
he's done a great job
Yeah, and he's
since
leaving.
going there.
He's leaving.
He
so
is
this
leaving.
last chance if you want something major.
Incredible.
This could be it.
Incredible.
Or at least some great milestone. I
Right.
don't think they'll win the whole thing. But
No.
if they make a deep run, that'd be a great way.
And I think, look, Chelsea, you would expect them to finish first. They
Yeah.
got into the top 4 in the Premier League last day of the season. With Nottingham Forest, we know all
Mhm,
of that. Winning the Conference League, so they'll be very confident heading into this.
Yeah.
And I think that second place is going to be up for grabs. Esperance from Tunisia, look,
My ball knowledge doesn't go that deep, so I'm not gonna say anything about them because
I don't think they'll be up to standard.
maybe, but also like African teams,
Hey, it's
they can be pretty
it is a random
intense, rough.
it's a random test.
Yeah,
You don't really
is.
know what to expect.
You don't know. Like, how do you really don't,
Right.
right?
It's gonna be like an Auckland City type
Yeah.
vibe with Esperance in this group.
I think so.
But it's gonna be down to Flamengo and can LAFC fight them? Of course,
Mhm.
Flamengo having a flying start in
Yeah.
Brazil. Will they be able to really battle and take them to the end?
And if LAFC can snag
That's
a
huge.
point off
That would be
Flamengo,
huge.
then I think that pops second place wide open.
It
Because
really
if
does.
Flamengo can solidify,
Mhm.
you know, okay, you know, you beat LAFC, then you should be fine.
Right.
If they get a draw, then everything is up for grabs.
Everything's
there,
up in the air. Everything's up in the air. Of course, they have Olivier Giroud
Right.
as well.
Right,
so a
right,
little re-encounter with Chelsea.
Yes.
That's
There's
just
gonna
an
be
interesting
yeah,
storyline there.
you're
But
right.
who are we saying? Chelsea and Flamengo.
Yeah, I think you just have to give Flamengo the edge.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Okay.
But I think even still, second place can go to just about anybody.
LAFC, we are looking at you. Can
Mhm.
they make it into the knockouts? It's going to be
Right.
very interesting.
Yes.
Group D.
Group E is probably my favorite group. coming up.
I don't even know where to start.
It's going to be quite an interesting group.
The
'Cause
four
I think-
teams:
yes.
Inter, Monterrey, River Plate, and Aurora Red Diamonds. That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
Inter Milan. Let's
Yeah.
start there because they were thrashed in the Champions League
Their end
final.
of the season was just abysmal.
They bottled
Something
it
you
in
wanna
Serie A.
forget, yeah.
Lost the Coppa Italia final. Lost the Champions League final. Inzaghi is out. Loads of changes.
Yeah.
A very just miserable end to
Mhm.
their season, and now they have to play this tournament.
I guess to the casual eye, you'd probably be like, oh, they should be fine. But what if they could potentially run the real risk of having a nightmare here as well?
And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a European team that might slip up. I wouldn't be surprised if it's here, Patrick.
I think so. And look, Monterrey and CONCACAF, huge across North America.
In the
I mean,
previous edition of this
course,
tournament as
of
well,
course.
always
They're
in it.
usually semi-finalists,
Yeah.
maybe the final, and they
Mhm.
probably lose.
Mhm.
But I mean, River Plate as well. River Plate is River Plate. I mean,
Right.
everybody knows River Plate. Everybody
Yeah.
knows how huge they are on a global scale. And then you got Urawa coming in, which is a very interesting kind of like team coming in because
Very.
in Asia they're pretty good. In Japan they're also pretty solid.
Third place at the moment.
I feel like they have better history playing like in tournaments though than domestically. Funnily enough, so and I think all these teams are gonna kind of take points off of each other. So really, I'm not sure exactly who could finish where. I can just say
Up for grabs completely.
you know, completely,
Yeah.
and I think the favorites should be Inter and
They'll
River
still
Plate.
be favorites.
Yes,
But
but a matter of who finishes where, I don't even know.
I by no means lock that in as my prediction. I mean, yeah, I'll say Inter and River because that's on
Mhm.
paper.
Right?
Of course, two best
Yeah,
teams.
yeah.
But you sent me a picture of the Urawa fans, and my goodness, they
Sending
are.
them off to come over
Yes.
here, and hey, they thrive off of that. Like
That's incredible.
it's serious. So it's not like it's just a small team. No, these guys are huge, especially in Japan and
Yeah.
Asia. They're crazy. I mean, I love watching one of their older Champions League highlights
Okay.
in the final. I don't remember who they played. I think it was Al Hilal, maybe
Okay.
like 2016 ish.
Okay.
But it was Champions League final, and I just remember the goal they scored
Mhm.
and just the noise that comes through the
Oh,
headphones
Definitely.
in Japan because the final was there before they decided to move everything to Saudi Arabia.
Right.
I mean, these guys live for these moments. I think I don't remember what year it was, but I don't even know.
2017.
2017.
All Hilal.
Yes,
You were correct.
2017.
First leg was 1-1,
Yes.
and then 1-0 in
Yes.
the second leg.
Yes, and Saitama, and man, these guys they live up to that moment though. They love it. They thrive off it. I wouldn't be surprised if they can maybe get a surprise result. I don't think they'll go through, but I wouldn't be surprised if they can have an upset here somewhere.
It's gonna be great. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to Group E.
That's probably my favorite group. I'm gonna look
That's
forward
one
to.
of those where it's like Urawa against Inter, but then you'll have
Then you have
Monterrey against.
River Plate. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
just
crazy,
but that's
completely
this whole
crazy.
tournament, and it's gonna be so much fun. To,
And that exemplifies what the tournament is supposed to be.
and I love it. I love
Yes.
that idea. I really
Yes.
do.
So it should live up to
Yeah,
the hype.
it
Group E, keep your eye on that one because
Mhm.
it's going to be very tough to
Yeah.
call. You would, again, expect Inter and River to go through, but
Who
a
knows?
huge
Right.
if on that statement.
Mhm.
Group F includes your Dortmund, but they'll
Yes.
also have Fluminense, Mamelodi Sundowns, and Ulsan HD
Right.
to keep them company. Mamelodi against Ulsan is the first game here
Right.
in Orlando.
Inter and Co. Yes.
My goodness, what do we
What
expect here?
a
Dortmund, surely in first
Surely,
place.
Yeah, I mean,
Had a great
this
end to last
is one
season.
of like the easier teams. Like easier groups for one of the more high profile clubs.
Sure,
So
sure, you would expect
then you look
that.
at the rest of the group, it's like okay, like it's really just between them, right? I don't really know what to expect. I mean,
I
in
think
terms,
Fluminense are second. I don't think.
I
there's a
think
question
so.
of
I
that.
think so.
Fifth place in Brazil right now. You've got Mamelodi and Ulsan again, two complete unknowns.
So I think like the casual eye, yes.
Although I love Mamelodi's purple,
Ooh,
yellow,
yeah. We were looking at the kits
green.
for Puma.
It's nice,
Very,
isn't it?
very classy, very pretty.
Very nice. Besides
Yeah.
the point, Dortmund
Surely,
surely
they shouldn't go through because of the jerseys they have, but they surely will. I mean, comfortably.
yeah.
Ulsan, I'm familiar with them enough because I followed the Korean league a bit.
Yes.
So they have success, obviously, on the continental level in Asia. But I mean, I think there are better Korean teams that unfortunately just didn't
Missed
make
out?
it.
Okay.
Right? Truth be told, not that I'm biased at all because I like another Korean team, but
Which is
that'd be Jeonbuk Hyundai.
Hyundai
Motors.
Motors.
Yes.
I know 'em
And
from
they're
FIFA.
there you go. They're in first place right now. But I mean, Ulsan, they're also one of the bigger teams in Korea. So will we see a surprise from them? Who knows?
I think it's very unlikely.
I think Dortmund, Fluminense is
Yeah.
they can
But
push
then
that
you'll
aside.
be treated to Mamelodi against Ulsan. We'll be
Ulsan.
there at Inter and Co
what a
Stadium.
matchup. It's
I
like,
can't wait.
What a match. I
I'm
just
excited.
wanna
I'm
It's just-
excited.
it's just so funny because like these are teams I'm sure they never
No.
ever a team from South Korea playing off against a team from South Africa.
Yeah.
Like, who thinks of that? That's just something you would randomize on FIFA,
It
and
really
then
is.
if that's something that you get That's who you get, and that's who you got to play as.
Right.
It's gonna be an interesting mix.
Incredible. We'll have that in person. So hey, it's gonna be fantastic. Dortmund.
Yes.
I'll just ask you the question because why not? Will they fancy themselves overall in this tournament? Will they?
I think they should. This feels like a tournament that they
top 10
would.
favorites.
I think they should
6 favorites,
surely
maybe?
reach the quarterfinals at least. They
Go
should.
far,
They
for
should.
sure, yeah.
They should. Like this is kind of like a Dortmund-esque tournament, you know.
Very, very like you don't know what to expect.
No.
They're the European version of that,
Right.
because in the middle of the season of the Bundesliga
We
season,
were
we're
like,
like
red emergency these guys are
what is happening?
screwing it up.
Turned it on the last 8 games of the
somehow
Bundesliga season.
and Champions
Got
League.
their Champions League spot. Now they propel themselves into this tournament.
Right. I could see them at least making quarterfinals. I
Yeah.
mean, they should. I don't see why they wouldn't.
Right.
But
and they shouldn't have too many obstacles in the group stage.
No,
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, there you go.
Group G, however, does include 2 European powerhouses like Group B, because we've got Juve, we've got City. Thankfully, I'm so happy that they will play at Camping World Stadium.
Yes, that's going to be huge.
Oh my goodness. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Wait, because we have Al Ain and Casablanca as well in the group. Juve have a new manager. City have a ton of new players.
It's going to be interesting. Very interesting.
City in first, though, because Juve have been a shadow of themselves in Serie A recently.
Yeah, and okay. So City, Juve are
You're
3.
in.
We can finish
Congratulations,
off
you're in.
It's just a matter of how are these teams gonna approach this tournament?
Yeah.
I do think City are gonna probably use this as a good transitional period for those new players to get their reps in and to kind of just instill confidence heading into the next season. I do think they should be one of the favorites heading to the final. Manchester City.
I agree.
Juventus, like you said, they've been very, very, very interesting over the last few years. It's just you never know what you're gonna get out of them. It's like they're good, but they're not good at the same time. It's weird.
They drive every other week in City A.
It's like what are we gonna get?
Right.
They should be comfortable here in this group. I do think Al Ain and Casablanca.
I'm from the UAE.
From the UAE, yes.
It's interesting because when we talk about Saudi and we always talk about Egypt and we talk about Middle Eastern football, UAE is never really mentioned. And Al Ain are gonna throw themselves in the mix against the likes of City, against the likes of Juve. Casablanca, of course, one of the biggest names.
Yeah,
when we talk about that
football,
region.
Yes.
They were in the talks of, is Ronaldo coming to Casablanca? They were one of the teams. Of course, Ronaldo will miss out on the Club World Cup. Decided not to take any of those 2-month deals. Probably, hey, fair play. I mean, I wouldn't really either. Imagine that. That just throws everything into an abyss, right? But Casablanca are going to be there as well.
Yeah.
But there's...
surely they don't.
There's levels to this, and I think there's a distinct, difference.
I think so I think we could safely say Juventus, Man City, they go on. The winner of that group plays the round of 16 in Camping World. So, and they'll play the runners-up of Group H. So it will either see City or Juventus again, probably, most likely.
Wow.
In round of 16.
Yeah, and you speak about Group H. The headline. This is, of course, Real Madrid.
Of course.
So you're telling me Real Madrid might be coming to Orlando, but they have to finish second.
They have to finish second.
Yeah, second
that's not happening.
It's not happening. We'll get to that in a bit.
I love it, but that's not happening. Because imagine City, Juventus versus Real Madrid.
Oh my goodness!
Knockout game at Camping World.
That would require one of either Al Hilal, Pachuca, or Salzburg
to finish on top, and I don't see that.
No. Let's talk about Al Hilal. They've been in the transfer. Rumor mills recently. They went in for Victor Osimhen. And if you're...
Not the first time we've heard Osimhen to Saudi Arabia.
If you're a Saudi king, right, and you're in charge of the billions of dollars that they seemingly have, you go to Osimhen expecting a yes, surely. Although he did enjoy a good season in Turkey, I could see why he turned it down. He doesn't want to leave Europe in this phase of his career. That move was already very interesting to Galatasaray.
Yeah, that was already,
Exactly. So he says no to Al Hilal. Now they are shifting their focus to a certain Benjamin Sesko. I wonder who's in for them. Although very small window to maybe get that move in.
Yeah.
They're going to be tested here because we talk about Saudi being this the promised land where you can be financially solvent for the rest of your life, and the next generations of your family as well. You don't have to worry about that anymore. They'll be testing themselves against 2 European teams here. How do you see Al Hilal going in this,
look,
group?
They don't have necessarily a bad team. Like, you've still got Mitrovic up top.
Milinkovic-Savic is there.
You know, like Mitrovic, 19 goals, 2 assists.
That's not bad.
Al Dasari from Saudi Arabia, 15 assists, 15 goals. Of course, we are talking Saudi league numbers.
That's one hell of a stat line.
But, yeah, Milinkovic-Savic, 6 assists, 12 goals. They've got Bono in goal, Koulibaly in the back.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a pretty...
They've got names in that team.
They have a decent team.
They do.
This is competitive. Like, they should make everybody else kind of struggle a little bit. I would have them going in second place.
Ruben Neves.
Yes.
In the midfield.
True.
So, ahead of Salzburg, they had an abysmal Champions League campaign.
Yeah, they really did.
Second.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think Al Hilal would be the favorites to finish second.
Okay.
But I do think any of those 3 teams between Pachuca, Salzburg, and Hilal can finish second.
Sure.
I just don't. They're not going to top Real Madrid, though.
No, they are not.
If that happens,
oh my goodness,
that'll be something to talk about.
It's not supposed to happen, though.
Right.
Let's talk about Real Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
Xabi Alonso, and Florentino Perez, the whole club is just taking this competition very seriously. Yeah. We speak about Xabi Alonso. He was at the training ground 4 hours before it started, their first training session. He's obsessive about this. Back at the club where he was so successful, one of the clubs where he was so successful, they're taking this so seriously. Bellingham delaying his surgery for this tournament.
Just to play.
You see how aggressive they've been this transfer window. Nothing new with Real Madrid, but continuing on that trend, surely they are looking at this tournament and telling themselves, man, if we win this is the perfect start. A dream
the Xabi
start
Alonso era.
for Alonso.
I think so. And I think that's the mission.
Yeah.
So that's why I have them winning the whole tournament.
I agree.
I mean, even if with Real Madrid, you can probably start their second team, and I think they still can make it to the final.
Yeah.
But I think I do think they're going to come out maybe in the group stage. Yeah, some rotation because they know they can handle these teams.
Yep.
Come knockout stages, then I think that's when we really start to see them pick up. And I think they have to be the favorites for the whole thing. I think so.
I agree. I just and I know it's probably bless you. It's probably a media tactic from Real Madrid. We know how powerful that is as well. Probably just put a bunch of attention on us. That's what they like there at Madrid. Put a bunch of attention and really amp this up for Real Madrid. We know how important trophies are for them.
Yeah.
This is no different. Even if it's a brand new tournament, even if it's a bunch of unexpected, the expectation you don't really know. For Real Madrid, they're going to be looking at this and they're going to be saying, look, they're going all cylinders at this, and I don't see another team really putting that much of a focus and an attention, at least to the scale of Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Maybe they are in a more quiet fashion, but Real Madrid are very loud.
They're very flashy. They like flaunting these.
Exactly.
They like
it.
So
I absolutely think that the winner of the whole tournament is coming out of that Group H, and I think it's going to be Los Blancos, surely.
It has to be. I think so.
Of course, City, PSG,
and you have to also
Dortmund,
think about
Chelsea, they'll be in there.
Any game that Real Madrid play in, I mean, everybody's going to go for them. They're going to have the support.
It's going to be like playing at home.
Right. They're going to have the support no matter where they go. So they're going to be feeling more than comfortable, I think, playing in front of a pro-Madrid crowd.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's going to be very interesting.
Yes, it will.
We speak about the other teams, though, who might challenge them for the title.
PSG, I think, should be up there. They have to be, I think. You have to, especially with the season they've had. PSG, who do you...
Atleti? Dortmund?
Not Dortmund.
No.
I do think it's going to go Real Madrid, PSG, Atleti.
Okay.
City. I think City has to be in the discussion as well as at least top 4.
Sure.
Semifinalists has to be those, surely. And those semifinals would be electric if those were the final teams.
Champions League,
Champions League,
Absolutely.
semifinals in the United States.
Yeah.
I think it has to come down to one of those 4. But I do think Madrid should be the favorites of all that.
Absolutely. Like we said, we're going to be keeping up to date with everything. We've spoken about that for half an hour, Patrick. My goodness, it didn't feel like it.
It's a lot
Because
to
there's
get through.
so much to look forward to. We have to give our word to ourselves. We'll be involved.
Yes,
How
we
excited
will.
are you of that? Because I cannot wait.
Yeah, I mean, of course we'll be doing different tasks, but it's gonna be so much fun. Like just being down in the stadiums at the games. Like we get to call that work at the end of the day. You know, whether
Fantastic.
it's volunteer work or paid work or whatever,
Yeah.
we get to call it work at the end of the day, and that's what we push for. That's why we're here. You know,
Absolutely.
to get that experience, and you know, we've been fortunate enough to be a part of it, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be a lot of fun. We get to catch all these games, round of 16, a quarterfinal matchup. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Hey, there's plenty of possibility for content from the stadium. Maybe we work that into the show somehow.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll have to get
test
our-
the waters with that.
Like, you're right.
But my goodness, I mean, 7 games here in Orlando. We are so lucky to be in a host city.
Mhm.
It's a soccer town.
It
It's
is.
a footballing town.
It
It
is.
really is. Orlando absolutely is. And, you know, it's going to be great to not
Yes.
just have the group stages, but round of 16 and quarterfinals as well.
Mhm,
Camping World
mhm.
Stadium is going to be bouncing. I cannot wait.
Yes. It's gonna be so
Cannot
much fun.
wait. But that is it. That's it for this week's edition of the NONA Sports Show. Patrick, Club World Cup themed, USL2 themed. I'm just going to stay
It's
like
gonna-
that
for a couple weeks.
a lot of the
Probably
summer.
the rest of the month.
Absolutely.
At least.
Next week, make sure you tune in, though, because we will once again be talking about transfers, USL2 again, Club World Cup again, and anything else in this crazy world of football. But from Patrick, from myself, from the NONA studio, that's all we got for you this week. Make sure to tune in to the unrestricted of our last USL2 game, of course, for Brookhouse as well, and for Sporting Jacks as well. The content just doesn't stop, does it?
No, it does
It
not. No,
does
it does
not. No rest
No sleep.
on the NONA Sportscast. But from us, that is it. Take care and see you soon.